Hi everyone, it is February the 6th, 2020, the day after the vote on whether to follow through on removing our president from office or not. I thought it might be interesting. We're going to look at a lot of things today, not just what just happened. For example, the State of the Union, the Democratic primaries and the debacle that occurred through that, but more I would like to look at just what is going on in the heavens right now, what is so intensified that we feel like we're in an inner world of chaos reflected in the outer world by all the different disparities between rich and poor, the polarity amongst belief systems, and the divisiveness of the world of duality. My name is Elizabeth DeVries. My website is called AngelicMercy44.com. Feel free to go there. Feel free to, if you like this video, feel free to subscribe. And also, if you would wish a reading, contact me at AngelicMercy44@gmail.com. So I thought I would choose a card today. I thought I would look at astrology and work with the astrology with cards so that we would have an intuitive impression upon the dynamics, the angles that are in the heavens at this time. And right now, even though we have our sun in Aquarius, we have a pretty watery situation occurring in the heavens. A lot of emotion, a lot of delusion, grandeur, delusions of grandeur, information being probably with the Neptune close to Venus and Mercury coming up to conjunct Neptune, all in Pisces. It's a time of great, how would I say it? We're feeling ultra vulnerable. Pisces rules the 12th house of our chart, and it is where our Achilles heel lies. It's where we feel wide open to the world, and we're trying to hide the deeper, more frozen or more trembling aspects of ourself. It's the Pisces is called the dust bag of the universe because it's the last sign of the zodiac. So it has the capability to be utterly evolved or to be completely delusional and addictive and victimized. So there's many layers to Pisces. It's a beautiful, beautiful sign. As far as artistic, creative endeavors go, as far as visionary experiences with the inner realms of being, it's really when that Mercury in about a week and a half comes up to conjunct the Neptune, it's going to be a time when we're really going to feel open and like there's an onslaught coming at us. But if we take it in a spiritual way and we take time alone that day, which is in about 12 days, and we go off and we meditate and we find aloneness with our inner being, and we listen quietly within and turn off all the external distractions. It's a time when we could move past our own delusions, move past the feeling of being victimized by what's going on in our country right now, or what's going on personally for you financially or in your love affairs, or all of that. So it's very powerful, and we're going to have that Mercury moving up toward Neptune on Valentine's Day. It's going to be pretty close. and Venus is also in Pisces. So there's an inner prodding going on in us to do the right thing, to do the holy thing, to make a sacred choice, to delve into our beyond the subconscious to the realms of where our soul is existing eternally within the realm of divinity, of divine chi. So it's a time when we could make great spiritual progress, but it's not a time of outer activity. It's a time of inner, great movement inwardly. I did pull up the chart of Mitt Romney because I wanted to see what that was about. And I'm just going to show you his chart here. And I will be printing it on my page underneath this so that you'll be able to look at it. The interesting thing to note is that he has the Sun conjunct Mercury, conjunct Mars, all in Pisces. So when he made that decision to be the sacrificial lamb, so to speak, or to listen to his inner realms of spirit and make a choice for the greater good, because all this Pisces is sitting in the 11th house of Aquarius. What that means for people that are not astrologers is that he did come here to offer himself in service to the whole of humanity, that he had a strong mission in that regard. He also has in the house of service a moon, which is his subconscious feminine yin inner world, the areas of the realms of going very, very deep within. He has a moon in Scorpio conjunct Jupiter. Now that's an interesting combination. The moon in Scorpio is a very private moon, and sitting in the house of Virgo, it makes it even more private. And that may have been one of his great downfalls when he ran for president, is that he had a really hard time showing the depths of feeling that he had. Moon and Scorpio people have a tremendously deep soul, but they don't trust a lot of people. They have a very hard time getting close to people because they have a inner reserve of privacy, secrecy. And I don't mean necessarily secrecy in a derogatory way, but whatever they're suffering or whatever they're going through, they're not someone to just throw it out there. They're more somebody to hold it inside. With the Jupiter in Scorpio conjunct the moon and all this Pisces, this is an extraordinarily intuitive man, much more than you would ever consider looking at him. Might have looked at him and thought he looked, when he was running, kind of going through the motions, wrote words, a bit of a mannequin impression. But underneath the surface of this man is a very deep spiritual man. A man that, with the Mercury conjunct Mars in Pisces, really, I truly believe that what he said yesterday was not out of rancor to President Trump, even though he may have had his bones to pick with the president, but truly was an altruistic choice to be the sacrificial lamb, to be the one Republican that came forward and said, this is wrong, this is egregious, to use his words. And also a man that would be deeply, deeply religious. There's a lot of water in this chart, and with that moon conjunct Jupiter, Jupiter ruling the spirit, this is a man that doesn't go out and brag about his religiosity or his spirituality or whatever is the route he's taken, which we know is Mormon for him. But there's also with this man, beyond the belief systems, with all this water in his chart, he's got a deeply philosophical, ethical part to him that would be a strong family man and a man that would have profound intuitive abilities to feel what is right. And with interesting thing is with that Neptune being right on his sun, the Neptune being the higher octave of love. In other words, it's not just personal love, it's a love of God. With all of that Neptune sitting on his sun and his Mercury and his Mars yesterday, then these are the transiting in the heavens, Neptune. And Neptune is a very spiritual planet. He could not, and that's his ruler is Neptune, because the ruler of Pisces is Neptune. So he could not avoid his own conscience. It was his time to, Neptune takes 140 years to go around the chart. So with most people, it doesn't hit all their planets. So for it to be there now on top of his Mercury and soon to be on top of his sun, he's probably going to have profound spiritual awakening at this time, and may have already had that and could not avoid the inner voice. I was personally very moved yesterday by him, and I'm not exactly a Romney follower, but there was something that came through yesterday, that Neptune trine his moon, his emotional body, released the depth of how deeply he feels about his religion and about his family and about the legacy he leaves behind. So I thought you would find that interesting. He also has Saturn in Leo. Now Saturn is our karmic debt to the world and to ourselves. Like, what do we come here to learn? With the Saturn in Leo, we came here to learn how to open our heart. So I would think with all that private Scorpio that he mostly learned to open the heart through marriage and having a family and children. Because he has his Neptune, his natal Neptune, when he was born, in the house of family, children, in the house of children. So there's a lot that he gained about spirituality through having children, through having raised children. And then, of course, one understands that his wife has been very ill in this life with multiple sclerosis. So he, being the Pisces, has probably shown to her a lot of divine protection and a lot of divine service to her. Made sure that she's looked after properly and really fulfilled his family duties, his love for his family. This is a very loving chart. And it's not the chart of a straight, uptight person. In large groups, it's hard for him. But personally, one-on-one, I think you would probably find him to be a very warm man, very loving man. So that's Mitt Romney, and that is the power of Neptune, his ruler, right now affecting him profoundly and affecting all the Pisces. Anybody that you know that is a Pisces or a water sign or Pisces moon or Pisces rising are deeply, deeply feeling not only vulnerable or opening in some unusual, deep, profound way, but also there's a part of them that is feeling a longing for something more than this world offers. Pisces is not satisfied with a materialistic existence. So even though this is a man that had a lot of material success and wealth and inheritance, what's driving him is not money. This is not the chart of somebody driven by materialism. So the Pisces right now, the Cancers right now, the Scorpios right now are all being affected by this Neptunian awakening. And those that have Pisces in their chart, say you have Pisces moon, Pisces rising, that Neptune is breaking you open. It's because Neptune dissolves everything. Think of a fog. Think of walking in a forest into a fog, and you're sort of putting your hands out, feeling your way to touch the trees, to find your way. But you really don't have, it's not clear cut, it's not concise. So the Neptune right now, if it's squaring you, if you happen to be a Gemini, a Virgo, a Sagittarius, you're feeling the feeling of a square or an opposition to Neptune. So it's making you feel not quite as sure of yourself as you were. It's like before, where you might have had really rigid belief systems. Say you have your Mercury in Sagittarius or your Mercury in Gemini, you've got this strong belief system that you want to get out there to the world, but Neptune keeps coming along and saying, go inward, let's drop all those beliefs. Excuse me. Let's drop all those beliefs and let's go to a place of profound inner listening. So the pushing in you when you're feeling unsure or insecure is coming from inside of you with this Neptunian influence. It's bringing you and bringing many in the world right now. If you think of all the water signs and you think of all the signs I just mentioned, they are a special, or others that have planets in those signs, they are having the world is going through a crumbling of everything we held on to. A feeling like, oh, I know this is for sure. It's always been this way all my life. And all of a sudden, it's not that way anymore. It's crumbled and you don't know what it is. And you're like, what is going on right now? Where am I going? What? And so even this week, we see the chaos. They don't even have the app, organized for 200,000 people election. It's like the whole thing was in a Neptunian fog. That's a perfect example of Neptune affecting everything. So I wanted to draw a few cards about where we're heading right now, like what's going on. Because we all had even the belief system that Joe Biden was going to probably be the nominee, or we didn't, it was foolish if we thought that Trump was going to be ousted. I mean, obviously he was impeached, but to be ousted in the Senate with the Republicans is that's a delusional thought in itself. And I saw a lot of people on Facebook really complaining about that in shock, horror that this happened. Well, they should have known, like that's a Neptune thing, that you would think that the Republicans were going to oust their own president. You knew they were going to cook up something, and the Neptune and Pisces, they cooked up something pretty rare there, their arguments. So that again, the fact that people went along with that and believed that was a deception, because Neptune also rules self-deception, being deceived by yourself. So not only were the lawyers in a Neptunian place, but the senators were accepting delusionary arguments when they were cold, hard facts. That's a very Neptunian experience. Now, the interesting thing about Neptune is that it's moving along over the next couple of years, and it's going to square Trump's President Trump's sun and moon. So that could definitely affect his mind, his thinking, his capability for clear thinking. But that's not happening overnight. That's happening over the next couple of years. So, what else is going on today? Where are we heading? I would just like to ask my guides for a card of direction. What is the best for all of us right now? What is and I keep hearing over and over and over, that the card that I feel is the strongest right now is courage. We have been, it's almost like you took someone, I was thinking of Kirk Douglas in Spartacus when they were beating him, and you took someone and you just beat them and beat them and beat them and beat them and beat them, and you wore them down and wore them down and wore them down, and all the things that they believed in were just being hammered in front of them. And so we're at this crossroads because all of the foundational structures, and today I'm talking mostly about America, but it also applies to us inwardly all over the world, is that the foundational structures that we relied upon, they're not holding up. And the changes that we're going through were absolutely necessary to make us grow up. So to move to the state of so much materialism to a place where we've completely forgotten about our environment, and we're just ready to, we talk about the environment and shock horror that nobody's doing anything about it. But if we sincerely look at our own lives and our own expectations of what we think we need to have to survive, you'll see that the phone is being replaced every couple of years. The computer is being replaced every couple of years. On and on and on. Look in our cupboards, we've got tons more clothes than we need, or a fridge, way more food than we need. Everything is in a state of excess. Even what people would consider to be living a pretty modest life, if they really looked at that life, there's a lot of excess. There's a lot of expectation. So Pluto came along, as we talked before about Pluto conjunct Saturn, to break up that, I would say Saturn being our expectations of what life is supposed to be. Life is not going to be that anymore. The richness, the core values, right now, it's not about whining about what's going on. It's not about complaining. It's not about comparing. It's not about lambasting continually. It's about you finding and me finding within profound courage. What is my truth? What is right? And I'm not talking about right and wrong of what you've been indoctrinated with. I'm talking about inner, what is right? And right is unity. Because the deeper and deeper we travel to the inner realms of our own being, the more we dissolve into all that is. The more we greet a void of energy, the more we realize that every single thing is vibrating. And we stop we start to move to the place of transcendence. Now, this does not mean we go to that place and then we come out into the world, our day-to-day world, and we see wrong and we know that it's wrong. It's going against our soul. It's going against the sacred in life. We must stand for the sacred. We must have guts, we must find within us when we are battered and exhausted, and 3 years of lies and all the things that have been going on in this country on both sides, but especially the oligarchical desire to use materialism as a form of building more and more with greater and greater disparity between the rich and poor. But we really have to find a sense, not of a bliss peace where you're just bland, but to actually go to such a place of energy within, such a place of wisdom within, such a place of courage to stand for what we believed in, that is of the inner worlds. In other words, the soul truths, not the beliefs of the brain that have been blah, blah, blah since childhood, that have been indoctrinated. But I'm talking about the really deep soul truths. Right now, if I was going to draw any card, it would be the card of courage. That's what's needed right now. We all have to find our courage. There's a lot of disappointment going on our earth right now. A lot of disappointment. We're looking down at all those cups spilled over, right? But what he's not looking at is there are cups behind him full. So yes, a lot of damage has been done, but there's a lot of good we still can do. We need to create our own visions. We need to unite. We need to bring our courage together, and we need to shift things. Not cry and whine and be snowflakes, like Bill Maher says, but find our inner fortitude. Oh, where are we heading now? Things are moving very, very fast. This is a card of speed. It's the speed of communication. Something happens one day, everybody's all off on a tangent about it, or excited, or happy, or sad, or mad. And then the next day it's something completely different. And that's not going to stop. That's going to continue to accelerate. Where are we heading? You see, there is purpose behind the chaos, behind the delusion, behind the negativity, behind the sharp turn in the road we took into the darkness. We had to do it to see what was existing within us and within the country. But we are heading to a gorgeous, beautiful, redemptive place. I don't think this is happening overnight, folks. My friends, I do not see it overnight. But I know whenever I pray, whenever I meditate, whenever I draw my cards, with all my heart and soul, I know that we're heading there. And I ask, today we had prayers. I know there were prayers, both sides praying, Donald Trump there, etc. But if we really are all one, if we really are all connected, if our energies are all intermingling with the entire world infinitely outward, our bubbles intersecting everybody else's bubbles, then we need to pray for our president. I'm totally with Nancy Pelosi on that. And we need to pray, period. And we need to sit and we need to revitalize our own being with the divine source energy. Show mercy, have mercy for hard as it is. Have mercy, because basically people are where they are, and that's as far as they are. Thank you. God bless you. I love you all. No polarity. Just love you. Thank you. God bless you.